This is Sanja.
Yo, check it out. It's my girl Sanja.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, what up, Sanja?
And welcome to another episode of Random Ish with Sanja. I'm sitting here joined by Shar. How are you today?
I'm quite good, thanks.
Good. So, I like to just pick up different random subjects, and I realize that, I need to do a little bit of a cross promotion with all of the different things that I do. I recorded an episode about manifestations and energy, and I felt like I just barely dabbled in on it, and that I probably should get somebody in on it. And what's so funny is, as I asked, the universe, okay, well, I think maybe I should talk about this. I picked up this beautiful lady in my car, and she tells me, by the way, I'm a acupuncture energy healer. I'm like, this is great. So, with that being said, our random episode today, we are going to talk about some energy. Shar, will you tell them exactly what is it that you do?
Oh, okay. Well, I have a Chinese medicine practice, and I'm a licensed acupuncturist and in Connecticut. It's a medical practice, basically. And the difference is we work with energy in Chinese medicine, and it's really old healing art, probably going back more than 5,000 years. But I work with patients every day, people who have a variety of problems, from athletic people who have an injury, cancer patients, people with unusual chronic illnesses, autoimmune disease, children. Children are a lot of fun. They get better quickly.
Right.
Elderly people, arthritic, you name it. Whatever you see in medicine comes into my office, because a lot of the people come in because they're not getting results elsewhere, or they want a less invasive, less caustic kind of therapy, something that's going to help them feel better without taking a drug or having a procedure. So those are kinds of reasons people come. But then again, we also just get wellness people who want to cultivate energy. And the difference of my practice is it stems from, has roots in classical Chinese medicine, which is retaining the energetic roots of the art. So it's not the same as your traditional Chinese medicine acupuncturist who just, they will do a point prescription. A lot of them don't even know the Chinese names for the points.
Wow.
That blows my mind every time I get students come in and say, how come you know all the Chinese words? Well, because there's meaning in the word, you know the meaning of yin tang, this point third eye means ocean of yin, peaceful. So you want to be peaceful, this is a point.
Yes.
And it's a very good one. So we know, we retain the roots of the Qigong, of energy medicine, but also have a background in a lot of different energy medicines too. I've been doing this for a long time, since I first started working, before I first started working in medicine in the early 80s, because I've always been, kind of was born that way.
Right. I do believe that, we all have, we have unique, you have unique traits and skills that you are born into.
Yeah.
And I do think that we have, energies, some energies do have intentions before they get here. And, life takes you, all different kinds of ways.
Life, maybe. Or you can carry your old life into the new life. Or you have those little kids. You ever see them? They're 3 years old. They can play a sonata.
Yeah, the prodigies, yeah.
Yeah, because they have a certain ability. Mm-hmm. So whether every person can feel chi, see chi, work with it, because we are energy.
Yeah, but everybody
alive,
has it.
We're very much alive. If you develop it, you can develop your abilities. It's like being a really good athlete. You might be born with a really athletic body and have all the training you need in the world, but if you don't practice, if you don't go out and train, you're not going to be a good athlete. You know? And if you are a person who's gifted energetically, similar thing, except for, it's easier to find probably a baseball coach when you're 6.
Right.
An energy coach.
And then energy
All
coach.
of that is changing now, and I actually find a lot of commonalities between the world of sports,
Well, what's funny is that you say that the sports and the spirituality and being an ex-trainer, I very much, I feel like was going through a school in my coaching of my clients I found that it was
Yeah,
very spiritual. You know
very,
what I mean?
very, yeah.
Teaching is very, it I would tell them that you couldn't actually pay me enough, because what's happening here is that even though you're giving me a monetary amount, I'm getting paid in ways that I can't even explain, you know,
Well, you
because
help a person grow. I tell, actually, coaching, athletic coaching and training, physical training you're changing a person's life.
yes,
You know, you are working with them. And I'm not a coach or anything, so I don't want to say that. But, you know, you're a ex-trainer.
Yeah.
But in my work, I've found a lot of times that my biggest inspiration comes from observing a really good coach.
yes,
You know, I've kind of fallen in love with athletic coaching
Yeah.
just as an observer and a person who can appreciate the commonality, because I watch the way they interact with the player and the connection on the court or on the field. And I feel like this is a thing. It's a healing thing. You
It
know?
is.
It's a connection. It's an easy way to see a connection. It's, you know, from afar at least.
Yeah.
But when you work with healing in the clinic, you're doing the same thing as a person in a way, you know, as far as the language converts into, you say teaching, but like someone will come in and they don't feel well, you know, and you want to help them feel better. You have to show them where they can make improvements. You know, this is your diet, your sleep, your exercise, your way of thinking. But we cross over into a different thing with energetics, because we also go deep, you know,
Yeah.
like what is your environment? You know, what is everything around you? What are you taking in with thoughts? With where is your heart? You know, contemporary science has a lot of good information about that. Guys like Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's a really great
yes.
scientist. He's a, you know, ex-professor of genetics, and he's the guy who stem cells. You know, that was his research around stem cells, and he came up with epigenetics. So I like him a lot. He's
Yeah.
one of my scientific people that I look to for really quality information to share with patients. Explain like your environment. What he discovered basically was it's not so much the DNA but the environment around the cell. So what's around you? What's your energy around you? How's it going to affect you in healing? And we have the science, you know, we have the spirituality, or if you want to use that word, we have energetics. My teacher used to say, he's on the other side now, Grandmaster Shi, but when he was alive, he would always say it's art and science, because it's
Yes.
true, it's both, you
Yes.
know? And so I'm very
Yes.
happy about it. Whenever I teach or go to a hospital or work with a patient or physician or anybody, to make the connection of that gives people power over how they're going to make their life better and
Right.
get healthier. You
Yeah.
know? And that's where you see the things people refer to as like a quote unquote miracle. you
Yeah.
know?
Which should be normal.
It is normal.
You know, and it's
know?
funny that you say that, because instead of using the word art, I use the word religion because of the philosophy, meaning that it's supposed to
Right.
be, you know what I'm saying,
Well, healing
encompassing,
art,
you know what I
They
mean?
call it a
You know?
like Chinese healing arts, and we have in the like collection of Chinese healing arts. There's acupuncture with a needle. It's a way of moving chi. It works with the energy system.
Yeah, now the energy system, you know, so I think that it is a great deal of a combination. Like the science is explaining, you know what I mean, some of these things. I don't think that we're really supposed to be just looking at science for the answer, you know.
Well,
But
it's evolving.
it is evolving.
Science language is
Yes,
evolving.
yes, very much so.
really
So, and
evolving.
speaking of that science language evolving, the meridian points that you're speaking of. So, with the acupuncture, one of the things that I found is that, you know, just like we are the micro to the macro, just like the world has meridian points, so do we. And so, like you were pointing to the third eye area, so that's a
Right.
meridian point. And so, if am I correct that
Right.
the top of the head is one here, the
Well,
sides
we
of the
have
eyes?
hundreds of
There's
them.
they're like all over there. Are these the major ones?
500.
Oh, really?
We have, there's 12 main channels. There's extraordinary channels. Like Yin Tang is a point that's an extraordinary extra point, you know. It's not on a channel, really. It is sort of on a channel, but, you know, for example, here's our lung, you know, lung energy, lung channel. It's the shortest one. It's very
So,
short.
and that's why we were, I think it's ETF. Is it ETF where you do the tapping?
Oh, that's a
something?
different thing.
So
Yeah,
is
that's
that where,
different.
is that the same thing when you're
No,
doing?
that's different. That's like more hypnotic. That's kind of like some people took mind body approach to. They use acupoints and stuff, but they really.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. Is
They-
it like a combination?
Yeah, that's not my favorite topic because they kind of destroy the meaning of the points, and it's a good practice, I guess, hypnotically. To
Right.
me, I interpret it as energetic hypnotic practice, but in Chinese medicine, like they have meaning, the points, and they have location for a reason because it's bringing in external biophysical energy, chi from the universe into
Yeah.
the body and moving it through the body.
Yes.
Okay, and so the organs have to be nourished. When there's obstruction in the chi, in the channels, in the flow, of course, it's like blood being stuck. If you make
Yeah.
a fist, how much circulation are you getting here? Nothing, right? But if you're open and relaxed, like everything can move, the blood's going to get where it needs to go. So energy or chi, biophysical energy, if you want to call it that, science is giving it all kinds of names now. Oh, biophotons, That's another way, light, of looking at it. That's a whole other million-hour conversation. But for this, moving the chi through the body keeps us healthy and alive, basically. When it's stuck, tissues don't get nourished. We don't get what we need in certain part of the body. So then when there's obstruction, we get sick.
Right.
And like tumors will form when there's,
Obstruction of the
yeah,
chi.
environmental things cause a problem. Like right now, we have out that window a whole bunch of tree pollen, and it's like just flying around and wreaking havoc for everybody. But dampness, heat, wind, cold, all environmental factors cause a difference in the chi, in the body, and creating a problem. Food, sleep, lack of sleep, and thought is so very important because of where your mind goes.
Yeah.
We say yi dao, qi dao, that means where your mind goes, the energy goes.
Yes.
So if your mind is in a bad place, you're not going to feel good. And
Right.
you're going to literally lower your energy vibration and create obstructions and problems. And, to get better, the number one thing, there's different approach with patients. I get them to meditate and relax. I teach them massage points and practices to keep the chi moving and to gather chi and to develop their own ability too, because ability is important. It's important to send a person back out of the office with the ability to go home and get better.
Right.
They will get better.
Right. That's the point, and it's so
And stay
interesting
better,
that
not-
with what you're doing, there's a difference between with like our traditional medicine, it seems to be more of a keep them sucking at the teat type of a thing. And then,
Excuse me. I wasn't expecting that one.
versus
Well,
with
pharmacologic. Some pharmacy is good and we need it,
well,
and
for
it can
people
save
who are,
life.
yes, for people who are not
Right. It's still energetic.
doing this, yeah, exactly,
Everything
and it's
is.
never meant to be like a disrespectful type of a thing. But for people who are not, if you're not going to do the work yourself, it's good for you to stay at the teat and to stay at the at the fountain. But this is
people-
a different type of an energy work. It seems like you're
Yeah.
teaching people how to fish versus necessarily just relying on you.
To do self-healing, and teaching them when they come in, and we talk about what we're going to work on, and then when they go home, they have things to work with.
See, that's beautiful.
Because you don't want to get sick again or stay sick, and
Yeah.
especially you don't want to have the endless cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because if
empowering somebody to be well is
Yes.
more than just slapping on a Band-Aid or
yeah,
giving them prescriptions.
right.
And although sometimes I love Western medicine, it was my first
Oh,
love.
it's great.
Because I worked in Western medicine for a long time, as a clinical assistant. That's how I got a lot of my education, is people walking in and
Right.
out of the emergency room, out of the oncology clinic,
Yeah.
imaging, diagnostic imaging, MRI.
Yeah. and seeing maybe the difference. Now, can I ask you,
No.
for those people,
Yeah.
from that back in the day practice,
Yeah.
did you see or did you make a correlation of people who were maybe in like nicer, in a better mood? Did those people have better results than maybe people that were like just stuck in there?
No,
you know,
not so much that, but what I did notice a lot was some of the most powerful lessons that I had in medicine was my first job in the emergency room front desk.
oh,
Because the people, when they would come in, I got very quickly aware became of how important it is to like. Back then, you would hug the patient, you know, hold their hand.
Oh, snap!
While a loved one is like back in a bed, you know, dying.
Yeah.
And they're crying. You can
They don't do any of that.
You can bring them a cup of coffee and sit and listen to them. And you might think a front desk girl is not that important, but I'll tell you something. That's where I learned some of my most powerful lessons, is how to talk and really connect to somebody and understand healing. You know, like it's okay,
Yeah.
you know. And to really see, well, I'm lucky because my first job was in a rural hospital, and then in the city hospitals, it kind of came as a shock to me. It was a little different, you know, but still in the
back in those days, did you still in the city hospital, were you still encouraged to be as friendly?
No,
because I'm like, I've never seen that.
It was more
you encouraged someone, like, whoa.
Actually, it was funny, not funny, haha, but it took me a while to get used to it because I was so used to being, you know, really personal with everybody and listening and, you know, really fetching them a coffee or listening to them tell their life story or whatever. It was important. And then later I found out, like, we had hundreds of people to see in a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And some of the clinics, like 50 people in 2 hours. And I was horrified that you couldn't just take back the sickest one first, you know, you had an appointment time.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like backwards, but, you know, I adjusted to it. And one of the things I noticed was that's when I start my gifts, you want to call them a gift, I guess, abilities start to open up. And, you know, going to sit with some chemo patients and listen to them talk so they're afraid.
Yeah.
And hold their hand, maybe, while I get their information. And all of a sudden, they're not so afraid.
Yeah.
Their headache is going out.
Yeah.
And I have a headache, though.
Right,
it's
and
like,
now you
what's
have
going
it.
on here?
Right,
So I
you
had
know,
to learn about
it's
that.
so funny because, you know, I spoke about that briefly in the book about the transference of energy.
That was fun.
And I never really thought that was like, even though I said it and I knew it was true, but it's almost like you're like, oh, that's not really true. You know, people can, but people do that. And it is something that I've noticed.
It's empathic, super empath. When you're really empathic. That word empath gets thrown around a lot. And, you know, there's degrees of being empathic. Very empathic people can feel like foot pain from someone who's hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
It will wake them up in the middle of the night and they'll be like, ow, what's wrong with my foot? It took me a long time.
So wait a minute. Oh my gosh.
Adjust to that.
It's so funny that you're saying that.
Energy awareness. And if you look at people, it's really actually very common. Like every patient I've had who's left the world, whenever they leave the world, I see them or feel them or hear them.
Right.
Like the moment they do it, and with very few exceptions over the years. And after a while, it becomes. Oh, that was interesting. See what I mean? Like,
yeah. That was perfect. They calling you. That was somebody.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a good thing.
That's somebody calling you. That's great.
Robocaller. Let me shut the ringer off. But I wished it would hang up, and it did. So there's just a coincidence.
Okay, well, we only.
So let's just say, you know, empathic stuff. That, you know, anything. It shows you how important thought is because. Distant healing, you know, you can read a lot of scholarly articles on distant healing. Healing at a distance, it works, you know. Psychic ability is a thing that involves, you know, some degree of empathy. But really, like an empathic healer, it's considered development. It's considered like a developmental facet of being an energy healer, you know.
That you go through the time period of where you're feeling the
it's
other
always
people.
Thing. You just learn how to control it, you know.
Well, you know what's funny is because
it's like you just learn how to be strong energy.
How do you tell the difference though between when it's you and when you're feeling someone else's?
Well, at first it wasn't very easy. It's obvious sometimes, like if you're in a room with someone who's throwing up and they're taking a chemotherapy treatment and you feel like suddenly you're nauseous.
Yeah.
You're probably going to know it's not yours, you know. If you're home minding your own business and all of a sudden you can't get up because you have hideous sciatic pain. This has happened to me a few times where like I'd be like, oh my God, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with my back. I know
Yeah.
it's fine. So then the phone call comes and the person will say, like a week later, they'll call you and say, I've been thinking about you for a week. I've had terrible sciatic pain. I can't get out of bed. While you're on the phone with them, your pain goes out. You're like, oh, wait a minute, And
Okay.
there's ways, after a while, the more you practice, and you practice developing your energy and meditation and being healthy and strong with a good integrated energy system that's got integrity and no leakiness or anything. I have a better way to put it, but when you get strong like that, then you're able to tell your energy from another person. So for example, like if someone walked in that door right now, I would see them and know, okay, that's so and so who just came in, right? It's not any different with chi.
Okay.
You can be thinking about somebody or feel them think about you.
Yeah, I can feel sometimes when people are thinking about me.
It's very real.
I can feel like when I can feel when somebody's thinking about me really, really good. Ooh,
Yeah, this is the
this is
thing
great.
that
And then
many
I can also
people have.
feel that when I can feel like, lately what's happened is that I've had phantom, or I was like, what the hell is going on with my gallbladder? Oh my God, my kidney. And I got 2 phone calls, from different people one who had a kidney issue, had to go get, and then another one who had the gallbladder issue. And I was like,
sometimes,
that's what's going on. I was like, oh, okay. And then when I found out that, it was these people that I care about,
It's a type of
it went away.
It's a communication and it's a type of perception.
Interesting.
And, we can feel like really beautiful things that way.
Yeah.
Too. Like a distance when your other half is at a distance.
Yeah.
And you feel them
Thinking of you.
in the middle of the night and you wake up.
Wow.
They had sent you a note or something
Yeah.
beautiful like that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the highest manifestation, I think, of that ability. I love that. But also, it's just because, everything around us is chi. And if I clap my hands together, I feel that, right?
Mm-hmm.
As somebody, I always like to show the students or the patients, like, to meditate, and we do this sensitivity test to see if we could feel chi, and then we sit around the room and I put my mind in their hand and they can
Wait,
feel
are you
it.
you're talking about okay, so I've done that before where you take the
Yeah.
the chi ball and you play with it,
Yeah.
like I could feel it now, or you could take the chi ball and you
Yeah.
could play with it. So that's something that you do too, it's a practice. I
Well,
ran across
yeah,
this.
It's a sensitivity thing.
Okay, so I ran across this these people in Australia, and they're universal intelligence, and they're talking about where they're having you play with the chi, like pull it over your mind. You know what I mean? Ask for the pure chi to come in, and then you kind of like you're supposed to be able to pull out
Right.
the stuff that you don't
Many
want
ways
anymore.
of working with energy. You'll find, like, around the world, every culture has different ways of understanding energy or chi. And the thing is that's really great about being alive now, is in our science, we also have a variety of scientists. Greg Braden
Right.
used to be a scientist. Bruce Lipton still is a scientist.
Yes.
Rupert Sheldrake wrote a great book.
Know that name?
It's called, I think it's called Dogs Who Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home and Other Interesting Things, but it's an actual research about that. Dogs being precognitive. And I've seen that happen in person while dogs sat. That was pretty interesting. Dogs are pretty open.
Yeah.
All life is open, and it's not that great of a mysterious thing. So why I like
Right.
working with energy medicine is, I was going to become a physician's assistant when I jumped off the path and decided to do this, because it was no longer something ignorable.
Right.
What
Yeah,
hap-
they can't ignore this.
What happened? No, I mean for myself.
for you.
Yeah,
Oh,
it,
okay.
like, kept popping up everywhere. I
Oh,
went.
really?
Yeah, in the hospital, and everything I did, there was always something pushing me to learn about this instead of going into, DeUville College to be a PA.
Right.
So I kind of but I fought some illnesses
Your
myself.
own self
I got
fighting
better
against yourself.
in my own body. I was my own
Interesting.
classroom, and I learned in my own body, and then with other people, and I always work on my own body all the time.
Yeah.
It's always thing. People think that just is over, but it's never over, because every day is different. You wake up,
Right.
you go for a walk, you might pull your
Right.
plantar fascia.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
oh darn, why did I do that?
Yeah.
So you need to go home and meditate on the foot, or
Right.
do some points or whatever. So there's always a thing, and every day things are changing.
Would you? Okay, so what would you suggest like just because we have a couple minutes left here of recording ability, what would you suggest that people maybe do as a way of, because one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is because of the season changing.
Oh yeah.
And it's we're getting into the warmer weather. What is something that people can do, like just, take a couple minutes to just kind of get, prepare for this change season that's coming?
You mean into spring?
From being so sedentary into being more, to get more energy going.
Okay, what I like is warm weather, But in our way of thinking, winter is a time to kind of go inward and collect energy and rest. That's the traditional classical Chinese medicine approach. Honestly, I have a New England approach, and it's kind of funny. This morning I went for a beach walk, really, before you came, and I thought, okay, 9 or 10 more days, it's going to be summer. And that may seem silly, because look, they're just popping open out there now, the leaves. But that's how it works here, We don't really have spring here, which is kind of a good thing, because a lot of allergies, we're in the peak of allergy season right now for trees and everything. What people can do is, you need extra rest, definitely. Get your good sleep. Learn some meditation, learn to practice. I actually have a class every Tuesday night that's for that purpose.
Tell them where.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mystics by the Sea on 394 New Haven Avenue, where my practice is. And on Tuesday evening at 7 until 8:15, I just every week have a class I created for this reason. It's basic, any level, any person can come. And it's group practice, and we learn basic energy hygiene techniques, meditation, breathing, healing sounds, some movement. It's like adaptable no matter who you are. It's that important. That's why I made it, because it'll get you through not just the seasonal change, but, pretty much through every day.
Well, thank you so much, Shar, and I hope that you guys enjoyed that conversation as much as I did and learned some new things or reminded of some things that maybe you forgot. Energy, so it's everything. I mean, it's what everything is made out of. Speaking of energy, putting some energy into my book, wanting to get it into your hands. It's on Amazon. The paperback is also available. Manifest Beauty, a couple of exercises in there where you can show that your thoughts are proteins going out there and working with our the magnetic field, so to speak, that is out there, making your life happen. So interesting. I love this show. I just love this show, being able to just talk to anybody. Speaking of talking to anybody, next week, talking to a vape guy, because the trees are taking over. Woo-hoo. Hit me up, SONJADENYSE on the social media. Thanks for listening. Do appreciate it. Till next time, keep your energy flowing.
This is Sanja.
Yo, check it out. It's my girl Sanja.
Oh, yeah. Yo, what up, Sanja?